This tutorial will show you a couple of quick tips and tricks that will make using the template file a little bit easier. The first thing I'd like to show you is some viewing options. If you go under View, Overprint Preview, Overprint Preview gives you more or less a preview of what it will look like when it prints. So if you hit Overprint Preview, it'll display all of the images at the print resolution. It will turn off the image frames. And then the other thing you can do is if you hit Command on the Mac and Control on Windows, but Command semicolon will turn off the guidelines, and Command apostrophe or quotation marks will turn off the grid. So that way you can get a pretty good idea of what this guy will look like when it's printed. A couple of other navigational tools. If you double click on the hand over here in the toolbar, double clicking the hand in any of the Adobe programs zooms you back out to the full page view, and double clicking on the magnifying glass zooms you into an actual print preview. That's what's called a pixel preview, and that will try to show you exactly the resolution that this will print at. You can hold the space bar for pan, and with the space bar pressed, I can drag around. The next thing I'd like to show you is a little bit about how the layers are organized. So over here in my layers panel, let me turn my guide and grids back on. The guidelines have their own layer. You will probably move the guidelines based on the scale of your own plans and sections and renderings. And just so you know, the spacing that I'm using is about 1 inch gap between drawings, which in the grid is actually about 8 boxes between guidelines. There are 4 text layers here. The titles and concept, that's the heading information up here at the top. The program labels, that's here. There's a program list, and then on only one of the plans and one of the sections, I've also included the numbers, which are labeling the plans. So the program list is here, and then the numbers are there. So that's program labels. Captions are below each of the images. Identification is down at the bottom. Everybody needs to come down to the bottom and put their name and their professor's names. The professor names are all here, spelled correctly with the right punctuation. So you can just delete those that are not your professor and put your first and last name down there. Once you do that, you should go ahead and lock the text identification layer so that it doesn't get moved or changed. Then you're done with that one. And then one last thing about our layers is that the renderings, those are all of the rendered images, are on one layer, and then there are 3 drawing layers, one for sections, one for floor plans, and one for diagrams. You don't have to have this many layers. You could put all of those things on one, but this might help you to stay organized. You will notice that I have put dummy images in, and just delete the dummy images and then put in your own files. And the last thing is about the fonts. You can change the font if you would like. This drawing is currently set up with Calibri Light, which Calibri I believe comes default on all computers, so hopefully when you open this you won't get an error message saying that you don't have the right fonts. So this is set up with character styles. If you don't have your character styles panel available, you'll need to go up to Window, Styles, Character Styles. You might also turn on Paragraph Styles. We'll need that one too. And so what's happening here is that each of these different text types has a different character style that's controlling that. So instead of changing the font of each individual piece of text, I just change the font of the text style, and that updates all of the text in the document that's set to that style. There are 2 places where you would change the fonts because all of these are created with parent and child relationships. So main font style is the parent for concept statement, captions, and course information. So if I change the font for main font style, I will subsequently change the font for all of these different types of text. The same for the title. Title is the parent, subtitle is the child, so if I change the font for title, I change the font of the subtitle. So just to show how that looks, let me zoom in a little bit closer here. Turn off some of these things so we can see. Okay, so if I change main font style, it should change the captions, and it should also change these other two bits, the body text and the lines here. So I'm going to double click, go to basic character formats, change the font style, say OK. There, and we can see that it updated the font style for all of these different pieces of text. It did not change the title or the subtitle. Those are controlled by changing the font of the title, character style. If you change the font, you may, hopefully you won't need to, but you may also have a problem where your numbers are displaying in a different font from the text. If that does happen, go to paragraph style, double click on numbered lists, click on bullets and numbering, and then you can go ahead and make sure that the character style is correlated as it should be already done for you. But just in case, you might need to update that. And that's it. That's working with the template file. It should be pretty straightforward after that.